Just as we promised on Rise and Shine, we have two other remaining guests on the show, and these two are very special to us because they represent important stakeholders in our community, especially, to be very specific, the youth. We always talk about youth empowerment, we talk about youth inclusivity, but at the end of the day, do we really dive deep into it and grasp it? So on the studio today, we have Insaf Markar, who is the president and founder of NYMUN, and Amarasiri, who is the Deputy Secretary General of NYMUN, with us on the show today. NYMUN actually stands for National Youth Model United Nations. So we are going to hear all about it. And this venture, this project, this initiative is quite relatively new, as I understand. So let's talk more about it. Let's talk all about it. And first of all, would you like to start, or should I start?
Well, I would like to tell you, welcome to the show, and we're super excited to talk with you guys. But for the general community, we would like to know, what is MUN? What does it stand for?
Basically, MUN is much like the Youth Parliament, where delegates and participants get together and they come and they sort of form a role of diplomats. They represent the countries of the United Nations, and they come together for diplomacy, negotiation skills, and compromise, where basically Model United Nations is, its basic aim is an open-mindedness. And this open-mindedness is the key to successful diplomacy, which we firmly believe in, and which is why we have sort of begun this youth platform, where we bring about ages from 14 to 30. This is the first in Sri Lanka where Model United Nations comes as such a big platform. And we also we want to promote inclusivity, which is why our conference was one of the conferences which initiated trilinguality.
That's amazing.
That's really amazing. I want to ask, this might sound a bit odd, but sometimes, we tend to embrace the Interact and MUN and all these ventures when you're in school, but as soon as it's over, we need to drop out. So what have you done, or what are the measures that you have taken to include that kids, or there's the community, the youth community, which kind of drops out from this venture, from the Model United Nations after they leave school?
Right. So NYMUN was created in 2016 with the aim of giving young Sri Lankans an opportunity to engage in the art of diplomacy and conflict resolution, because we believe these are two skills which young people of Sri Lanka has been lacking since post-independence. To be very specific in the answer to the question, most of the model UNs in Sri Lanka, it's limited to schoolgoers. So even we did MUN back in school, but once we came out of school, we realized that there is no platform for young people who are in universities, who are engaging in a professional life, to do MUN. So with that intention, we created a holistic MUN where anyone from 14 to 30 can take part. So the purpose of NYMUN is to give young people of this country, whether you are a person in the north or the south, to come together in one table and discuss very hard issues, issues such as North Korea and United States, Palestine-Israel conflict. So when you talk about these hard issues, you develop a sense of diplomacy and understanding, and that can be applied to the local context. So very short, those are the essential aims of NYMUN.
Definitely, because having that discussion could be a blueprint to solve problems that exist in our country itself. So that is very impressive. And Sarah, I would like to know, what is the breakdown of the Model United Nations, that National Youth Model United Nations? How can you sign up? How does the project goes? And what kind of things are actually going on in there? How does the inside work?
Basically, so we started 2 months back, and we're in a fast-paced movement right now. We've actually completed a couple of our provincial workshops. Insaf will explain the vision we're moving towards this year in a bit. But post-provincial workshops, we're actually going to be having a main delegate workshop, which will sort of stimulate a practice debate of sort for conference. Delegates and participants can register through our website, which is www.nymunsl.org. They can also contact us via registrations at nymunsl.org. For more information, please drop us a Facebook message, Instagram, Twitter, while active on all social media. In terms of the breakdown of conference, we've actually had an introduction of a couple of new committees as well, which is the Commission for the Status of Women and the Commission for Science and Development. And except for that, we have the standard committees, which is the Security Council, General Assembly 4 and General Assembly 1, together with the United Nations Human Rights Council. In terms of trilinguality, which I mentioned earlier, the United Nations Human Rights Council, much like last year, together with the Commission for the Status of Women, will be held in trilingual. So delegates, whether you are speaking in English, Sinhala or Tamil, you can freely voice out your opinion and take a stance.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's the same structure, but I think you kind of made it closer to home, and made it more centralized and more streamlined, and talk about the issues that is kind of contextually relevant to us as Sri Lankans. So I want to direct kind of part of the question to Insaf also. Now, when you envision the whole thing about the model United Nations or United Nations in general, the issues that you talk about are universal. I mean, like you mentioned, it's South Korea, it's the Palestinian conflict, it's about Israel, it's more universal in nature. But what do you see are the problems that can be addressed in this assembly, in this forum, in a very Sri Lankan context, especially to be specific, the problems that our youth in this community face?
Yeah, very true. When you take the United Nations, certain parts of young people, they think it's an alien concept, but it's actually not. You know, the United Nations Declaration starts with the preamble, "We the peoples of the United Nations." So it's what they do at the UN, whether you take the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, it deals with everyday things which young people and everyone who works on the ground impacts. So with regards to NYMUN, I know if you take a look back at Sri Lanka's post-independence history, you know, there are instances we can be proud of, but there are also instances which makes us sad. And whether it's in 1955, 1983, 1989, or a few years back down back the line. So we see young people with the potential they have, the energy they have, the passion they have. It has not been directed in the right way. It has been directed towards violence and very evil ways. So through NYMUN, we are giving young people a platform to create a conversation, to talk about things which happen in the world, to talk about issues which are very apparent at home, and discuss those issues. Because when you come to MUN, young people, you know, dress up, they come to MUN, they're very excited about it, and they talk about international issues, and you get the awards at the end, and young people are very, you know, innovative thinking for that. So even issues such as Israel-Palestine, which doesn't get solved at the actual UN, does get solved at the MUN, because they want to, you know, find compromises and make a good resolution at the end of the day. So that mentality is what we are trying to instill in young Sri Lankans. That mentality that through compromise you can reach very sustainable solutions, holistic solutions. So that's the precise motives which we want to instill in young Sri Lankans. And even if you take the major problems which young Sri Lankans face at the moment, you have the lack of opportunity, you get the radicalization, and if you take, for example, we all sit for ordinary levels, but after ordinary levels we stay idle for 6 months. We don't have a national policy determining what we supposed to do. And even after A levels, we have a few months left. There's no national policy determining what we have to do. And even when you go to university, you go with the hope of finishing a degree in 3 years, but you end up finishing the degree in 5 years due to the protests, due to the rallies and everything. So in developed countries, people graduate when you're 20, 21, but in Sri Lanka, unfortunately, 25. So we are not future fit. We have a lot of questions to be asked. We have a lot of work to do. But our only hope is when young people are aware of the situation, are aware of their problems, whether it's at home or abroad. When they're aware, when they're knowledgeable, I think going into the future, they can be future fit. So that's the kind of vibrant conversations we hope to have at NYMUN.
That's amazing. So everyone can follow up on National Youth Movement United Nations, because it's something different and it's a whole other caliber, because especially for those who are after school and who actually fall into the youth category. And so we do thank you very much for joining in with us and kind
Thank you
of
for having
filling
us. in
with what this is. And it's definitely all the very best for everything.
you.
And I think it's time for us to say goodbye on
Yes,
Thursday's
on this
edition.
beautiful Thursday edition. And same time tomorrow, we are going to see you with a program just like this, and if not more.
Yes.
So goodbye, and I'll see you
Until then,
tomorrow.
have a great day.